Hello, and welcome to the podcast where good trivia gets rewarded and bad lies are punished. But will we catch the lies? This is What's the Fact.
They sometimes do catch the lies. It's crazy. You got to watch the psychobabble. Hello, I'm Ryan Whistle. This is Warren Robertson. Welcome to the show. It's a nice one tonight.
It's an interesting one.
Yes.
I had to really kind of go back into the dark recesses of my mind for this one because it's not a thing you think about on an everyday basis.
No, but you know, we're not that different from people from the past.
No.
And everyone needs a little bit of something, you know?
Yeah, it was one of the things, you see, and this might get people tuning off already like a minute into the podcast, but like it's kind of entertainment of the past, and everybody assumes that the people of the past were barbarians, and that what they loved to do was nothing more than was like watch a man be pulled apart by a pack of wild dogs.
Hey, that's one of my facts.
But it wasn't like that. Like their entertainment is a lot more boring for the most part.
So we're looking throughout history at how people entertain themselves, maybe even ancient
one
times.
Of us is going to talk about that way.
Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about that.
Oh man, no, because art and culture. That's what it's about.
It is
sort of.
Yeah. In a way, arts, sports, and culture. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sports is entertainment. Yeah.
It's theater for stupid people.
Yeah.
I didn't say that.
Has anyone got
sport.
that? I don't have a fact about the Aztec soccer game. Remember, wasn't it a head of a dead person?
Oh, no, I don't know. Mel Gibson may have made that up. I don't even think that's a real thing. Are you gonna start? Let's you start.
I'll start. Yeah, we go. So, I became a fan of good old Edgar Allan Poe, and I'm a softie.
This is Edgar Allan Poe. Tick the Ryan list of stuff that Ryan loves.
There's a recent, and there's another one coming up later in the show. That's a Ryan loves him. Okay, so yes, Edgar Allan Poe. I love the dude, and he I'm a softie, but I it's funny how I was drawn to the macabre late in my life. But it's a poetic Alan Edgar Poe type macabre. I love it.
Edgar Poe.
And so
hang on, whoa. Alan Edgar Poe. Are we certain?
Did I say Alan Edgar Poe?
We did. Look, the thing about
Coca-Cola.
The thing is,
it's very flat. This Coke.
I don't think it's so bad to be drawn more towards the macabre as you get older. In fact, I think it's natural because the older you get, the closer you get to death, right? It's one fewer trip around the old sun that you've got to go before finally they nail your coffin shut. So naturally, if you're already like you're 45 and you're dealing with this shit, I can't wait to see you'll be in like full goth regalia by the time you're 75.
Oh my word. Yeah. I mean, I'm digging The Cure. That was a late love. But hey, he's got a short story called Hop Frog.
Alan Edgar Poe.
Do you know what Hop Frog's about?
No.
It was about, and I'm hoping I'm using the politically correct term, but it was about a dwarf worked for the king.
That's not the politically correct term. It's a little person.
Yeah. They've described it as the dwarf.
Yes, no, in Alan Edgar Poe's day, they would have used that term.
Okay,
but
so his name was Hop Frog, and he had there was another little person, little person that the king made fun of, but like nothing too hectic. I think threw a glass of wine in the little person's face.
Natural kind of stuff.
Yeah, and so
who hasn't thrown a glass of wine in someone's face?
He enacts revenge on the king and his friends by saying, "Come, there's going to be a big fancy dress. You have to dress as animals." And he arranged the costumes, and they all came dressed as orangutans. And it was, I don't want to spoil the plot, but I'm going to. But it's still a good read. But he highly flammable orangutan costume. And he set them, and he had them all sort of, because it was pretend. Now you're all orangutans. We've put the rope around you. Look at the animals. And of course, it's the king and his friends. And Hop Frog, the little person, is leading the festivities in the court. Funny. Oh, look, they're all there. And then he gets himself some weird harness and like, look at me. I'm the king of the show. And here's the animals. And he's pretending to be a ringmaster. And then he fucking sets them all alight and they die. And he escapes through the roof with the little person girl.
Right.
The girl little person. And
Okay.
he gets away. The fact is that is based on a real event. So
All right.
from history, historically, Do you know about Hop Frog?
What, in real life? No. No.
Hop Frog's
Okay.
just the
So
name
here's where
Edgar's story.
I know nothing about any of this. It could be a beautiful poem. It could be made up. I don't know. What I do know is you paused awkwardly as you said orangutan. Also, it made me think to myself, orangutan isn't like it's not an 1800s kind of an animal. It's not an animal that people in the 1800s would have considered, as being a thing.
Oof.
So, and particularly if it was based on a real story, who's going to dress up the king and his court as orangutans when they've never been to Borneo, they've never been to Indonesia, they've never seen an orangutan or heard of an orangutan at all whatsoever? So,
Edgar Allan Poe fans out there.
Alan Edgar Poe fans.
Sorry about what's transpiring here. The absolute Edgar Allan Poe ignorance of it all, but it's fine.
So I'm going to say it's a lie, Ryan. It's a lie, and that's your Ryanism.
Well, I started with, for a change, the truth. Okay, but Ryan's facts are like allegedly. Okay, because I'm allowed to use that word on this. No, but it is believed by scholars and definitely that he based this on a real event. Let me tell you about it. And it's a French one. So I like
in the
use
poem,
French
he
words.
uses orangutans.
Yes, in Hop Frog he used it, but the real event was not orangutans, but it was a thing, and I'll describe it to you. It was the Bal des Ardents. Yeah, Bal des Ardents. The Ball of the Burning Men. Well, that's what it was called afterwards, because yikes. Was a masquerade ball held on the 28th of January, 1393 in Paris, at which Charles VI of France performed in a dance with 5 members of the French nobility. 4 of the dancers, this is not funny, folks, 4 of the dancers were killed in a fire caused by a torch brought in by a spectator, which was Charles's brother, Louis I, Duke of Orleans. Charles and another of the dancers survived. The ball was one of a number of events intended to entertain the king, who the previous summer had suffered an attack of insanity. The event undermined confidence in Charles's capacity to rule. Parisians considered it proof of courtly decadence. I mean, the French Revolution is like 400 years later, and they're still complaining about the decadence of it.
So it'll only take South Africans 300 years before we lynch our entire parliament. Right.
So it considered proof of courtly decadence and threatened to rebel against the more powerful members of the nobility. The public's outrage forced the king and his brother Orleans, whom a contemporary chronicler accused of attempted regicide and sorcery, to offer penance for the event. A chaos. It really did happen. In fact, in the collection of short stories,
Hop Frog didn't set fire to them all.
He did. To the orangutan
to Charles, no, but to Charles and them.
No, it was an accident.
Okay, so he was inspired by a real...
Definitely.
But I mean, look, you've opened on a pretty broad entertainment term.
But all literary scholars are, he got it from there. It's a known fact.
Okay.
And it was a weird revenge story for Edgar, because there was a girl who didn't love him, and he was after her, even though he was married. It's weird.
No, you're right. I am ashamed of my attempted work there. You did so beautifully.
Let me tell you why you are Edgar Allan Poe scoundrel. But, we'll convert you. Is because, have you heard of the murder of the Rue Morgue?
Yes.
Okay. I don't want to spoil the plot there.
But
the word orangutan.
Is it in there?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Nice.
Murders on the Rue Morgue. I mean, that was one of the first murder mysteries ever, before even Sherlock Holmes. That's Edgar. We started with Edgar. I can love Edgar. So, yeah.
You do. I mean, it was really broad, kind of talking about ancient entertainment there.
Yeah.
Really kind of a casual entry into ancient entertainment.
You know, little persons doing fun festivities, dress up masquerades. Hey, it's how they did things.
All right, I'm gonna take things a lot simpler then. I'm gonna bring us back to normal, decent human entertainment. Yeah, you know the the Halloween game, bobbing for apples.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you know that, right?
Yes, church fights and stuff.
Yeah. Well, that originated with the guillotine. That is my fact.
He loves him some guillotine facts.
Yeah, I do. I love a guillotine fact.
Oh, remember that?
Because I mean, let's be honest. The guillotine was entertainment, and bobbing for apples was classic entertainment. It originated with the guillotine and the baskets of heads.
It's also fantastic innovation. I mean, doing things quick, man.
Yeah. I mean, you had a basket of heads, a barrel of apples that people could literally try and use their heads to grab.
Warren is a stand-up comedian. He's not just a funny guy. He does stand-up, and so this is the kind of material that he would write. No, even in his gross Robespierre facts on our Revolutions episode,
I do love a guillotine fact.
Even this is too ridiculously comical to be true. So the bobbing for apples did not originate with the guillotine and the heads. Yeah, maybe would they put the heads in a barrel of water, or would they collect the heads?
No, so they just at some point they were cutting off so many heads.
Yeah,
they just had a massive basket that the heads would fall in, and it would fill up the basket, and then they'd drag the basket and replace it with a new empty basket.
Yeah,
but this macabre game kind of arose because of this thing as kind of part of the attraction of the guillotine, like part of the things that people would sell food on the side, because the thing was working just constantly, chopping people's heads off, and so stalls set up selling pies and meats and entertainments, and one of the entertainments that got set up was this bobbing for apples game that was akin to the heads being lopped off by the guillotine.
I would have had step right up, throw a head at any of those things down, and you'll win a prize.
Yeah, or maybe they could have just dragged the actual heads there and put them up on like a coconut shy. Like you gain added value out of the dead nobility.
I want to throw the count of Toulon with an apple, and if I knock his head off, then I get a teddy bear.
You could tell you're South African. Throw the count with an apple.
Okay, so my final answer is no. It's not. You start with a lie. It's a fun lie. I like it, but it's not true.
It is a lie. The game's actually a lot older than that, and it was originally a sex game. So it's much more interesting than that. I mean, look. So there's various versions for bobbing for apples and what it used to be, but it was a medieval game, sort of and each village would have their own subtle different rules about it, but essentially it could be used as a very innocent sort of dating game, like a Tinder, where all the guys would scratch their names into apples and throw their apples in the thing, and then all the girls would come and dip their heads in the thing, and then
like which apples are we
whoever's apple they caught, that would be their date for the evening. So it's quite sweet.
Yes.
And then and then so then couples could also, there was a fortune telling element to it, where couples could they would put apples in the basket, and then the apples represented the man, and then the woman she'd have 3 grabs to try and grab an apple, and if she grabbed it on the first thing, then their relationship was going to be a success. She grabbed it on the second, the relationship, they could have a relationship but might not work, and then the third thing would be definitely don't have a relationship with this particular guy. And then all of this kind of in some cases would come together to be kind of who are we sleeping with. Throw the thing in there, because people were a bit they were fruity back then, eh?
Oh, wow, hey?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Anyway, but as history progressed, so did the traditions, and it slowly changed, and eventually it got popularized because obviously a lot of Irish moved to America, and they brought bobbing for apples with them to America, and then the Americans adopted it as like a Halloween pastime, and they popularized it around the world, making it this silly, stupid, pointless game that it is today.
So at some point it was who's having a go with who?
Yeah. But as I said, it was all sorts of different versions of it. But it was all Tinder, sex, relationshipy. It was a way to hit on a girl. If you didn't want to, you just threw your apple in her barrel. There's all these kind of things. Yeah.
Ancient entertainment. That is so nice. Old entertainment. That's lovely, man. So that little exercise you wanted to do, themes that I love. So I've done Edgar. My second fact is about old Alexander again. Fucking Alexander.
I should have gotten Alexander the Great. Of course you're doing Alexander the Great. This is now like your 4th Alexander the Great fact in like 40 podcasts.
I mean, my fact was going to be... but it's depends how you word it, but he, Britain's Got Talent, America's Got Talent. He had a Persia's Got Talent. So he didn't call it that, but he loved a good old talent show, and he'd give a prize for the winner. For show us what you got, and you're gonna get a prize. Whoever's it's like a Persia's Got Talent. That's my fact. Is he liked holding talent shows.
I mean, the fact is, he almost certainly did. Right? There was nothing a leader liked more than having people caper for him, And if they could do a thing that he enjoyed, then so be it. And I mean, one of the things he did do was he did kind of like to know the local culture and then imbue his culture into the local culture and get people sharing their cultures as a way to try and own the territory a little bit. Yeah, I don't see why not. That sounds like a reasonable kind of entertainment. I mean, did he Simon Cowell it though? Did they have the 4 people? They always have the same 4 people.
Yes.
Doesn't matter who the judges are on any of these shows.
Yeah,
it's always the same 4 people. It's the stupid one at the beginning.
Yeah,
who loves everything.
And then there's a girl who cries.
Yeah, and then the girl who cries. So the stupid guy at the beginning wants to be the guy at the end. The guy at the end is the grumpy professional from the industry. The guy at the beginning wants to be the guy at the end, but he's a bit stupid. Then the second one is the girl who loves everything and cries all the time.
Yes.
And then the third person is the token person, the person who quite often she's just there to fill some sort of network requirements, and she has almost no personality whatsoever. Generally, it's a she, and it's to look good. That is their requirement, is to try and make things interesting to the youth.
Seal's ex-wife, she's more the
Heidi Klum.
Yeah, is she the crying one? Hey. Was she?
I can't remember who she was with. She might have been the crying one.
Oh, she's great. Then there was
like Amanda Holden was very much the crying, loved everything kind of person.
The lady from that sitcom, she's plays a Colombian lady in the sitcom, Modern Family. She's lovely.
Anyway, Katy Perry plays that I Love Everything.
She sometimes cries.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's the 4 roles. Did which one of those 4 roles did Alexander like to play for himself? Was he the hardened industry vet?
I think
or was he there just to look beautiful?
Well, there was definitely some. So did we get to the bottom line? You said it's true. It is true. It is true. Yes. And what made me think about it, because I did this course on Alexander, but I watched the movie as well, and.
You watched that 3-hour.
I loved it, but I watched the movie before I did the course.
Colin Farrell?
Yes, no, I thought it was excellent, and it was narrated by good old the dude who played Silence of the Lambs,
Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins, yeah. So I was wonderful. He played.
Wait, wasn't Angelina Jolie his mother?
His mother, yeah.
I mean, that's a bit of a miscast, isn't it? Surely.
No. I think it's right up the alley because. Well, I'm not I think Angelina's a bit.
She doesn't look very much like Colin Farrell's mother, though. To be fair.
Well, I think she's a bit of an enigma, a bit of a mysterious lady. Like, would I trust Angelina? That's the big question. I'm not. I don't know if I would.
You mean in real life?
Yes. So.
I reckon once somebody's worn the blood of someone around their throat. So automatically question their life choices.
Alexander's mother, what they got factually correct was she had snakes in her bedroom just for fun as pets, not in cages. Just
lots of people do.
You shouldn't, but and so there was that, and then there was drama between the mother and the father, and
is that why Alexander went east?
He accused her of being a witch and stuff like that. The father, King Philip of Macedon, he accused, "Hey, you're a witch and you're spoiling this boy of yours. He must."
This is also not uncommon. This is happening to this day. You go to any divorce court in this city, you'll see that story playing out.
It's true. It's true. But the point is, yes. So from the movie, there is a scene where he kisses a lad, quite big kiss, if you know what I mean. And I think it's he's a well-known actor as well. Quite a good-looking lad. He was in. He was the Joker. The Joker in not Joaquin's Joker. The
Matthew McConaughey.
No,
not Matthew McConaughey. What's his name? Heath Ledger.
No. In the movie about the girls, where that blonde.
Oh, Jared
Margot
Leto.
Robbie. Yes, okay. I think he was in Alexander, and he played his name
about the girls, the Suicide Squad.
Bagoas. Yes. Bagoas was the dude. He was a eunuch, and he won the show and tell, the talent show, and then
But he didn't have anything to show and tell if he was a eunuch.
He sang beautifully, apparently.
Ah.
And but historically, it is like a big deal. It is Alexander's famous kiss of the eunuch. Because Alexander did have ladies. Wherever he conquered a thing, he usually took a princess willingly. The princess was happy to go along. Babylon, there's a number of princes. He had a whale of a time. The more he conquered, the more he just conquered, if you know what I mean. And
what do you mean, Ryan? Please explain. No. Let's pause there. What do you mean, Ryan? What do you mean by conquered?
What? Well, I think whoever was apparently Babylon, the city, was just like, oh, who's conquering us next? Oh, now it's a dude from Greece. And they would just sort of lie down and take it as a city. Not really. They were just like, they'd welcome him. They'd throw big things. And then,
because otherwise it was just a constant case of rebuilding the city. These motherfuckers, we just finished building it for the Persians. Son of a bitch.
Alex. And so he gets there, and then there's the old king, who was then killed in battle or some shit, happens to have a harem of 300 women. And they're like, well, here's the new king, so rock and roll. Every night. So he was busy.
I always thought Alexander was gay.
Yeah. So then there was his best friend, really close friends, if you know what I mean. Now, Hephaestion. Now, the historians have said for sure there was intimate relationships with Hephaestion. And in fact, I think Jared Leto plays Hephaestion. I don't know who played the eunuch. But then they all, the Greek generals were like, kiss him. And he did. And now the two historians are like, did he kiss him once or did he kiss him twice? But he kissed him good and proper. And he was a eunuch who'd won. It was in Persia while they're having a festival, and he'd won the little talent competition.
It's a big day out for a eunuch. You get to win a talent competition, kiss the emperor.
Alexander.
I mean,
great.
Yeah, pretty cool. Now, he probably, like the next week in the pub, he was like, I tell you what, he wasn't so fucking great. So way too much tongue.
Yeah, he's a famous eunuch, Bagoas, and it was the Macedonians' favorite eunuch. Not the single, but all the generals' favorite eunuch. But the point is, it was a regular thing to have dance for me, sing for me, and we'll have a winner at the end, and the winner gets to sit next to Alexander. Kiss him, Alexander, kiss him. And he kissed old Bojois.
There we are.
In fact, Hephaestion might have been jealous. He might have stormed off in a bit of a huff.
I mean, how do we know? Who wrote down Hephaestion stormed in?
It's almost like there's like the Gospels for Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. There's 4 serious historians who documented, but like two around the time and 2 after the time.
Okay.
Who documented every detail of Alexander's life. In fact, he hired a biographer to write down the exploits of his campaign. So one of them is pretty accurate, although he's writing.
I don't know. That sounds to me like if he's hired, say, Prince Mashele to write your unauthorized biography.
It's that. Look, it's that.
Yeah.
So you got to read between the lines and stuff.
Right,
but we there's a lot of the detail is fascinatingly in there. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna stick with Europe simply because it makes life easy. In Florence, Italy, they still play a Middle Ages game called Calcio Storizo. It's like a kind of brutal rugby that results in an average of 1 death every 4 years, and that's my fact.
Word, rugby.
It's
Florence.
It's kind of brutal. It's sort of like a football, sort of like a brutal rugby.
One of these great sports, and it's either rugby, but it's like we all know what the nice rules of rugby are. You got to physically put the ball behind an area, and it has to touch the ground, and apparently one of the maybe weird, how do you say it, like a psychological origin of the game of rugby was a thing, whatever that thing was, whether it was a ball or an ox's head or whatever it was, you had to get it to the other village, and the people stopped you with any means necessary.
Okay.
But if you put this thing down on the ground in their village, you won. But if they wrestled it away from you, and as a fucking village, excuse my language, they took it to your village and put it on the ground in your village, and that was a great
that's
game.
Called like mob football or something. But I think I know what you're talking about. This is called Calcio Storico.
I would guess that this sounds like something like that. a game, rugby styled, and someone died. I think it's in Florence. It was quite a sophisticated, intelligent city. I'm surprised they did this sort of thing. But maybe it was about.
I say it's a middle age. My claim though is that it's a Middle Ages game that is played to this day.
Oh my God!
Yeah. And results in an average of 1 death every 4 years.
Even to this day, look, there's the bullfighting thing, and so there are parts of the Mediterranean that are traditional and nutty. And maybe they do, that cheese down the hill thing, throw the cheese down the hill and then roll down the hill.
So it's wonderful.
It is wonderful. I don't know why they did it, but it is wonderful. And so
but I got to tell you, if I showed up there, I'd be very disappointed because be like, I heard there was a cheddar roll here. Cheddar roll. Why is there no roll? What do you mean I have to run down the fucking hill? Give me the food. I want to check.
What was fucking ridiculous was we have the pandemic and all sports are shut down for, a year and a half or so. And then slowly people come watch in the stadiums. But one of the first sports news was like tonight, sports news, not much happening. Another stadium is shut down. And, that was the fucking sports news during the pandemic. But one of the first things that was allowed back was that annual cheese
because it was outdoors,
and people
healthy.
were doing it, and it's wonderful.
People break their collarbones doing that thing.
I'm happy to say that this fact is true. I'm keen to know the rules of the game, but I'm gonna say you're telling the truth.
All right, so here is where I tell you I've just Ryaned you.
No.
Yes, I did.
Little sneaky
lie.
I
did a sneaky lie.
Because it's not in Florence.
Because
it's in Spain.
No.
It's in Scotland.
So it happens in Florence. It's called Calcio Storico. It happened in the Middle Ages. It happens to this day. But there have been no reported deaths in the game yet. Paramedics do say that they expect, on average, 7 or 8 players from each team to not make it to the end of the game.
Okay.
So they have to be carried off. Some of them spend months in hospital afterwards. There was one incident of a dude who had to have his spleen taken out. So, it's seriously brutal. The city authorities actually banned it in 2007 because it got so violent, and they weren't gonna let it happen again. Until the organizers said, all right, fine, no hardened criminals are allowed to take part anymore. Because what it is. Okay, let's start right at the beginning. Okay. So it takes place at the festival of San Giovanni, which is the 24th of June every year. And the whole tradition comes out of the Middle Ages, where the thing was effectively, I don't know what the Italian is, but it was known as football in costume back then. And it's derived from an ancient ball game developed by the Romans, which is called harpastum. But essentially what you do is you've got a 100 meter by 50 meter sandy area and 27 players on each side. And they build fencing down around all sides. And then on these two ends, much like try lines, you've got a low wall and a net behind the wall. And you've got to get the ball, each team's got to get the ball over that wall and into the net. And you can do it any way you like. You can throw it, you can carry it and dump it there. But if you miss, the other team gets a half point.
Oh.
When you score, you swap halves.
Jeez.
And effectively there are no rules. Like you can do whatever you like. So it quite often turns into an open brawl, just guys like beating and battering one another outrageously. But yeah, so every
27 on the pitch at a time.
27 for each team, yeah. So now, so what it is so everything's allowed. What they do is once they close those gates and they start the thing, it's 50 minutes. There's no breaks, no substitutions. And that's it. The players, when you see the players talk about it, they're like, once that gate is closed, you're fighting for your life and your honor. That's like, that's how this thing
sounds
works.
Incredible.
Yeah. In the past, they used to give a guy, the winners, a cow. Now, effectively, the winning team gets to see their pennant flying above the town for the whole year. But yeah, like there's 4 teams. And they come from the
I want to go.
I know, I do too. I really do too. They come from the 4 historical districts of Florence. So it's the light blues from Santa Croce, the reds from Santa Maria Novella, the whites from Santo Spirito, and the greens from San Giovanni. What's interesting is in the past, the football club from Florence, AFC Fiorentina, their home shirt is
It's light
purple.
blue. No, it's purple.
purple.
Yes.
Because that is said to be like if you take these 4 colors and you mix them together, you get purple. And their away kit, they've had years where the away kit, they've had 4 different away kits, one in each of these 4 colors. Because this whole thing, the whole thing about this is that while you come from the different neighborhoods of Florence, you're all fighting for Florence. You're all like, it's all about Florence's honor and about Florence's, about the meaning of Florence and bringing the neighborhoods of Florence together and bringing the people of Florence together. It's a really it's a very, very interesting, it's a very, very interesting sport. But yeah, essentially, it's absolutely true. People headbutt each other, they punch each other. I mean, you see the guys, they come off with serious injuries. That in modern era now, and it was only I think 5 or 6 years ago that the city basically said to them, no, listen, paramedics have to be able to carry the guys off once they're knocked out. Like you have to get them to hospital as soon as possible. Jeez. You can't like just leave them there like you would in years past. But yeah, I mean, it sounds fabulous. They have 2 semifinals and then obviously the finals. Between these 4 teams, and the Calcianti, as each of the guys are known, are like local heroes.
Wow!
Like the people in Florence know who their Calcianti are. They show up, and if you go as a tourist, you have to book and then be aware of which stand you're being put in, so that you know what color to dress in, because you can't. Yeah, you mustn't dress in any other color other than that. But yeah, I mean, initially it started out as a sport for nobility, like all these things do. But as people got injured and, maybe lost a limb or whatever, they started hiring poor people to take their places. And then slowly over time, these teams became professional.
Yeah.
So you've got guys play positions, they play like attackers and midfielders and defenders. And some of them are hired boxers, UFC fighters, like, like a serious hard man, and some of them are known for running and athleticism, and so they've all got actual roles. It's a worked out sport, but yeah.
Oh, this is incredible.
It sounds absolutely amazing, and I'm not surprised it's still going on. It sounds incredible. I would love to go and see it.
Yeah, Florence is. I thought it was. I got the impression it was a sophisticated city because it is the setting of Taming of the Shrew, and it starts Taming of the Shrew. From what I can remember, starts with a character going, "Oh, here we are, Florence. Center of learning, center of."
I mean, Florence is right. Like Florence was the home of the Renaissance and Da Vinci and Michelangelo, and Michelangelo's David is still there. I mean, it's got a very storied Renaissance past. So it is absolutely a city of learning, but it's also a city of the calcio storico. Storico. I don't know how to say that. I know it's calcio storico. Yeah.
Makes you want to go to Florence on the 24th of June.
24th of June. It's. I mean, when we're shooting this, it's around the corner. But,
that's so cool.
Yeah.
My fact is it in that part of the world? Did it ever touch that part of the world? It came close. It's about good old belly dancing, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Belly dancing, yeah. And here's my fact is, despite it being quite sensual and flirtatious, as you know, I really love it for many reasons. I love belly dancing. It was actually started by Muslims, despite it being. You won't believe who this is.
Oh, it's your mom phoning again. Yeah. That's wonderful.
I'll tell her I'm in a podcast.
No, please put your mom on. I want to talk to her.
Hi, Ma.
Can you talk?
I'm just recording a podcast, but
okay, I just want to tell you something quickly.
Okay.
You are telling all of our listeners as well, though.
Yeah.
Okay, no, don't worry. Okay, I'll speak to you later. Bye.
You guys are so intimidated, Ryan's mom. Nothing intimidates Ryan's mother. What? Like if you met Ryan's mother in a spa, you'd think she was going to rob you.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, Dietz wasn't here to see that.
So you're saying belly dancing was invented by Muslims?
Yes, it was. Yeah, and I love it. I love it because it's a real art form, and Are
you saying
you don't even have to be like in fact, the best kind of belly to do it with is not a flat one. It's a bit of a belly, and it's serious training and all those things. And in my Urban Brew days, we had a lady request for us to make her a training video, and no one was available to be the director, so I directed a belly dance.
Was it just you and her?
No,
You had to go to her house.
No.
Okay. I need to hear the story. Tell me the whole story.
In the studio. We put on a green screen but we had the whole steps. Now I'm going to do snake arms. This is snake. I was just talking you through it.
Snake arms.
Yeah. Right. Now we're doing the belly thing. So what you're going to do is
you might need to
camera
speak up.
Get in there. Camera get in there on the belly, and it was very cool. And she was a very cool South African type lady. And
we used to do that. We used to do that gig at a venue in Rivonia, Lebanese like restaurant in Rivonia.
Okay.
That they used to open the night with a belly dancer and then comedy.
It's a lovely combo.
Yeah, what was really nice about it was we got to know what it's like to perform as a stripper because all the oaks had fucking erections by the time you got on stage. I don't know why comedy is, but comedy is that thing, right? Like sometimes, did you ever do Rock Paradise?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Oh,
Rock Paradise, for those who don't know, the Pomona Spur is a it's a home of ill repute.
Yeah, on Pomona Road in Kempton Park.
A strip club, on Pomona Road in Kempton Park. And then what they used to do is they used to invite comedians to come and do the lunchtime.
Yes,
so then you'd come and you'd do an hour at lunch because they had a lunchtime special on a Wednesday.
It was a bit of a buffet,
Yeah, it was 100 Rand and you could get in to watch the strippers. And they would have a braai there and you could eat as much meat as you like.
Yes.
And then you could also have the braai. And then... and then there'd be a comedian. But the problem with being the comedian at that the problem with being a comedian at that particular thing, I just realized I think I might have just stolen Chris Forrest's joke about that place.
I have a story about that place.
But yeah, you used to go there and then do the comedy, and it was quite evident the whole time you were on stage that these guys were not there to watch you.
Hate.
So much hate. So much hate.
Hate.
Yeah.
Tangible hate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was the stories about some comedians who took their pay there in kind. And I'm not going to mention any names in case they sue me. But they know who they are and I know who they are. And if they don't put money into my post box by the end of the week, we'll use this platform for evil.
Yeah, the whole next episode is all about what happened to you at the Pomona Spur.
That's right.
And I stepped on stage and I was younger and cutesy little silly English joke, little one-liner to open things. Hey guys, and the oak was at the back was like, "Thanks for leaving." And then, I don't know, I sometimes have a bit of an angry streak. And I was like, go fuck yourself. And I was like, is it? And he threw it was a beautiful moment. He threw an empty can of Coke at me. And just like that, I just caught it, just like that. And then I threatened to throw it back. And then the manager saw this and he was like, so I'm trying to do my comedy show. And the manager's like, hey, stop your cock, man. You're a fucking idiot. Yeah, stop it. And I'm like, I'm watching these two going, stop your cock. You fucking idiot. So they asked him to leave. But then when I was done, they gave me mine. And it's like, when you're ready to leave, we're going to just make sure you get to the car safely.
Yeah. No, it was very much that kind of place. You know how you could tell the difference between the strippers and the prostitutes? It took me a few trips there to work it out. You know, the prostitutes all had little handbags.
Oh.
Also, they were much less attractive than the strippers. They were feeding off the erections the strippers had gotten.
I was like,
that's a horrible term. I'm sorry I used that because I pictured it as they were feeding. Oh, awful.
I remember we'll get to the fact now, folks. I remember walking in, I was quite innocent, and there was a strip show on the go, and I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't watch this. And I went, and we go sit in the side room, grab a beer at the bar and just go sit in the side room. And you go in the side room and then there's a big screen and there's a porno playing at the
Why was there porno in the side room? I don't know.
I'm gonna go sit here quietly with my beer. Oh my god!
But listen, that place,
screen.
It did not close down during COVID. Old Pomona Spur. Wow. It was pumping. Wow. Hey, see what I did there? Anyway, Muslims didn't invent belly dancing. They didn't.
How can you be so
because
sure?
it's older than that. It's older than the 700 AD that the Islamic faith came about in.
How can you be so sure of that?
Because I know things, Ryan. I know some things about things.
Well, you're right, you bugger. Belly dancing is believed to have had a long history in the Middle East. Several Greek and Roman sources, including Juvenal and Martial. Okay, Juvenal's like the 3rd century CE and Martial's the 1st century CE. Describe dances from Asia Minor and Spain using undulating movements, playing castanets, and sinking to the floor with quivering thighs. Descriptions that are certainly suggestive of the movements that are today associated with belly dancing. So it's an ancient thing.
So you think the castanet dancing from Spain and belly dancing is all one, all from the same root?
I definitely think so. And one thing that I do know, and this is from the lady who's training video. I did the lady's training. We became friends. She was a nice lady, and she. So do you know who in the modern era has really made belly dancing awesome?
No,
in the modern era.
Tell me, Shakira.
Yes.
Yes.
So, who's had a go at it a bit is Rihanna, Beyonce, and Fergie. But the greatest representative of this dance is the Colombian singer Shakira, who led this dance to position it as her trademark with her songs "Whenever, Wherever" and "Hips Don't Lie." And her hip dance skills became known worldwide. No, but this lady said to me, "You watch Shakira; she's excellent.
Yeah.
She knows what she's doing."
The second you said it,
I mean, it's like it's not easy. You can't. I mean, if I said give us a belly dance, you wouldn't be able to because you got to. It's like it's a thing. It's a thing.
Firstly, I wouldn't be able to. But secondly, I would be horrified that you'd even suggest it. I'm not belly dancing for you, Ryan, no matter how much you ask. You filth.
I just want to see someone like Homer Simpson give it a go, or Pete from Family Guy. Those are the guys you want to see having a bit of a belly dance.
Right. Okay, I'm going to link this to your fact simply because I can, and you might see later. My fact is probably the oldest form of still ongoing entertainment in China. May have developed as a way to scare off a monster.
This is nice. Yes. It must be when they have the kind of Year of the Dragon things and that dragon dancing stuff. That's a lot. I wonder if I'm right, and if so, this is a lovely fact, and I'm keen to hear
and
more.
If it's not, then it's a terrible fact, and you're very angry about it.
No, okay, scare off a monster. I suppose that's their version of not the zodiac, the Chinese astrology, where it's by the year. But when it's the Year of the Dragon, it's the big one. And then there's all these dragon dancers down the street.
I mean, you are so close. You're actually on almost exactly the right thing. So the dragon dance is a thing, right? The dragon dance.
I'll say if that's true.
And it is true. It is true. Sweet. So the drag, but we're not talking about the dragon dance. The dragon dance is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
The dragon dance is an evolution of the thing I'm talking about. The thing I'm talking about is the lion dance. And the difference between the lion dance and the dragon dance is simply, firstly, the animal that they're representing, obviously. But secondly, the number of people that take part. The lion dance is almost like bizarrely, it's almost like a pantomime mule because there's only 2 people in it. And it's a series of dances that are designed to look like a lion. But like the dragon, it's also very colorful and it's got huge, strange fangs out of everywhere and large eyes and all that sort of stuff. But there's only 2 people inside of it. And the reason why it looks this kind of outrageous way is that Chinese people at the time, because this was over 1,000 years old, this particular tradition, Chinese people at the time had never seen a lion. They'd heard of lions, but they believed they were legendary creatures just like dragons.
Wow.
So they were actually creating this legendary lion creature. Jeez. And so what they do is the dance encompasses a bunch of moves that were derived from Kung Fu, and they're generally quite acrobatic. Like they'll do things like they'll leap up onto stilts or onto countertops while doing these particular movements together in tandem to mimic the movements of the lion. And they do this thing because, one, it brings in luck and all of that sort of thing. But originally, they used to do it at Lunar New Year and set off firecrackers and do the lion dance and stuff to scare away a monster called Nian. And I'm definitely pronouncing that incorrectly. But it's, Nian which sounds a little bit, apparently, if you say it in Mandarin, it sounds a little bit like the Mandarin word for year. But it was a terrible, destructive beast. So people would come out in bright colors with fireworks and things to try and make sure it doesn't come anywhere near their village and ruin their year, and bang drums and these sorts of things. So that's where the lion dance came out of, and they still do it to this day. They still, if you're launching a new company, it's considered auspicious to hire someone to come in and do a lion dance.
Lovely.
Quite a big part of the whole thing is you'll often see the lion eating and spitting out lettuce, which is a weird thing for a lion to do. But remember, this is a legendary lion, right? And also because, again, the word for lettuce is, I think, and I'm going to get this wrong, is kai, which sounds a lot like the Chinese word for wealth as well. So when you bring this thing out, it brings a lot of luck. So
nice.
Yeah, and then once a year, they'll go through the streets, these lions, and bless Chinese businesses. So they're considered, they bring good luck and wealth to the economy. But yeah, it all started out as a way to keep a monster from eating your village.
Man, I love that fact. And I was trying to find a fact about sort of African tribal entertainment, even though it was like a nightly thing, because watching TV shows like Shaka Zulu and stuff, and we in primary school we had to study the layout of the traditional Zulu kraal and stuff, and so the cattle would go out and they'd come in every day, and the whole structure was built around like that to protect the cattle, but also there was a kind of a fence thing. But then in the middle
in apartheid, they used to teach us white kids that in case there was ever a war and we needed to attack,
where to run to. Yeah. And then you get the sense in the middle was where the fire was, and then most evenings there was drums going on and a bit of dancing. But I don't know how often they would have had drums and dancing. Maybe it was every single night. And fire.
I think I look at it and I think to myself, like, we don't realize, like, really understand in the modern era what it was like to live 1,000 years ago.
No, we don't.
There was literally no light. There was no light anywhere. There was the stars, and then there was whatever fire, So when you say somebody used to come out and banging drums and smashing cymbals and dressing up like a brightly colored lion and firing off fireworks, that was really spectacular. When there's no other lights at any point throughout the year, there's little fires, maybe little lamps, whatever. But in terms of the light we have now that we just take so for granted.
But I think the drums, the fire was a source of comfort and safety for the nighttime, and everyone came together. So it's fun and festive for the village atmosphere, but also it is maybe we have light so we can see if anything's coming to attack us, and that maybe the banging just kept anything away that
establishes a boundary. Says to the animals, don't come anywhere near here.
Yeah.
We're the oaks with the fire and the sharp pointy sticks.
Yeah, but I love that fact about. Oh no, you won't believe it. You won't believe it. But my next fact.
Dance.
No, it's actually it is a lion. We're talking about that crazy place called the Colosseum in Rome, and of course that was a major source of entertainment of a long time ago. And I listened to a podcast on the Colosseum actually, and but this was not in research. I listened to things as well, and then I watched on Netflix that series with the emperors, and one of them, it was all like for the emperor to show the opulence of Rome to the people and to gain favor with the people, and it was great. And then
bread and circuses. That was literally like, give them they're thinking about a revolution again. Give them bread and circuses.
I mean, the one of the launches of the Colosseum had 100-day program. Day 1, we're gonna have this, then this, and this in the morning, this in the afternoon. Day 2, this 100 days. What the 100 days, and gladiators fighting each other became the sort of headline act. That was cool. But sadly, my topic is about this thing called Venatio, which was about...
sounds like cunnilingus. I think it was something you can do to your partner.
Venatio.
Going to give her orgasms. If you just listen closely, fellas, we're going to teach you Venatio. We're going to teach you Venatio. Venatio is... either that or Venatio is like an assistant director at
Well, it's like I
production
think
company.
the venison would come from that. So venatio, but maybe you're an animal in the sack, if you know what I mean. There's some venatio in there.
Okay.
Give me some. Okay, so what it was is animals.
This is your fact. All of this is your fact. Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you my fact specifically.
Okay.
Venatio was. This is true. So usually in the morning session, it was either animals fighting other animals or kind of animal soldiers fighting against animals, killing them. Sometimes the animal would win, but mostly not. Very sad. Now, things like elephants, yes, initially they hadn't seen elephants that much. So it was, wow, just parade the elephant and take him away, and that's great. And then it was like, no, we want to see, Oaks must fucking take this thing down. And people would kill animals would kill each other. And one of the favorite things to show in Venatio was a pack of wolves versus a lion. This was one of the headline acts. Let me tell you, they used a bucket load of various animals. They brought, because it was to show how great Rome is. So Rome has conquered the world, and you citizens might never go even see the places we've conquered. So we brought this thing from this faraway place. Check it out. Woo. And this thing. Woo. Now they're going to fight each other. Crocodiles, hippos, deer, cows, zebras, ostriches, vultures, rhinoceroses,
the crocodile
hyenas,
versus ostrich
leopards.
fight must have been a real crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
Crocodile versus ostrich. Yes, you're there all day. When is that fucking crocodile going to stop lying in the sun with its mouth open? Is that thing going to eat the big chicken, or must we go home for lunch and come back later?
When you said crocodile versus ostrich, it's just like it's these YouTube videos, hey, when they want to see which animal is the fastest.
Oh yeah. You get those American YouTube. No offense to other YouTubers. You get which animal is more likely to win? Will it be the cheetah or the brown bear? And then they've got like crudely done 3D animation of like 64% of you said it would be the cheetah. Cheetah progresses to the next round. Oh, fuck off.
So a pack of wolves versus lion was the big one. It was the favorite one at the Colosseum. We're in the category of venatio. Is my fact.
It was lions versus wolves.
Yeah, a whole pack of wolves.
I mean, the thing is, right? I figure a pack of wolves. I mean, a wolf. Like the thing is, people think of wolves as being the size of huskies, right? When an actual wolf is, it's a big dog. It's a big thing. It's a big thing, and it's a vicious thing. And if you have a pack of them, I mean, I don't know how big. And its teeth would. Yeah, I mean, and lion's a vicious bastard.
Sure,
but the pack knows how to. They last longer. They got more energy. They know how to nip in, bite around, attack. I don't think that's an interesting fight. I think they would more likely go for something like an elephant versus, say, a pride of lions or a, I think I don't know, or tigers.
Yeah,
I don't know. Was this the headline act? Is that what your fact is? It's just that was the headline act.
It was the most popular venatio.
I mean, listen, I'm the emperor.
Yeah.
My venatio headline act. If I can pick whatever I want.
Yeah, but you must piss the crocodile off. You can't just let it lie there. This is not a 5-day test match.
No. I'm not even interested in crocodiles. I don't want to fuck with those guys. Right? I've got me a fleet of ostriches, 6 or 7 of them, against a Christian. That's what I've got. I want to send the message to my people in the greater Rome that these Christians aren't even worth the main bill. They don't even I want to see an ostrich kick a Christian to death.
Even six of them should do it.
That's what I six ostriches.
Running, and they're like just running.
Yeah.
running, and this ostrich just fucking dodging these ostriches.
I like how they make chicken noises. Yes, that's what I want to see. I want to see ostriches kick a Christian to death.
All right, I know that's what you would choose.
No, listen.
But
that's because I've got a Nero brain, right? Like I don't have casual fucking emperor brain. I know what I'm doing. I'm putting on a spectacular here. I want to see porpoises out of water. I want to see porpoises out of water against What else? Who they
go
fighting?
for like you know what people are missing out, like
I want to see a rhino.
Fucking honey badger,
right?
Hey,
no, but that you need a much smaller coliseum.
Honey badger against the chihuahua.
Honestly, honey badger against a cobra. That shit is interesting as fuck.
Is.
But like, you want to 6 out of water porpoises, smart as anything. They know they can think together. They can communicate. Against an elephant. fucking. That's
sure. All right.
Anyway, all right. Tell me the boring lion versus wolves lineup was actually their common headliner.
Are you saying it is?
No, I'm saying it's not.
You're saying it's not?
I'm saying it's not because you've been too truthful so far.
Oh, bugger you, man. Yes, you nailed me. It's a lie. And here's the reason it's a lie. Firstly, animals that appeared in the Vinascio included lions, elephants, bears, tigers, deer, cows, zebras, ostriches, vultures, horses, rhinoceroses, gazelles, giraffes, eagles, falcons, wild goats, dogs, hyenas, leopards, crocodiles, boars, hippopotamus, rabbits.
Imagine you've bought a wild ticket, right? You've bought a hey, Lucio, I've bought a wild ticket for the Coliseum this week. When are you going? Oh, it's the Vinaccio. Oh man, I could be watching lions versus wolves. No, I get there and then it's a goat versus a vulture. You know.
But wolves. Here's the thing about wolves. The Romans generally seem to have refrained from intentionally harming
because of Romulus and Remus.
For instance, they were not displayed in the Vinascios due to their religious importance to the Romans. So wolves, no. Everything else.
I mean, their city was built by Romulus and Remus, who were raised by wolves.
Oh my word!
Yeah. That makes sense. Makes perfect sense.
So wolves are a no-no at the Vinascio. Or if they wouldn't be, you know, they might be displayed in a reverent way, but not fucking lion versus wolves. No, wolves are the shit by the Romans.
Oh, there we go.
You got that fact.
There we go.
It.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, not for the right reasons, though. I just thought it'd be boring. Stupid fucking YouTube brain that I've got going on. All right, so I'm going to do something totally different. I'm going to bring us all the way to South Africa. I'm going to tell you, here's my fact, straight up the front. I'll give you some facts later if necessary. My fact is South Africans play a traditional strategy board game, which anthropologists believe originates in ancient Egypt over 3,000 years ago. So local South Africans, a traditional strategy board game which anthropologists believe originates in ancient Egypt over 3,000 years ago.
That's incredible. They might have a version that's like, you know, when you buy the chessboard and then you can swap it over and there's another game. It's usually like backgammon, or checkers. And I've never understood backgammon. Is it similar to just like is it a dice game or is there actual skill?
It is essentially a dice. Well, there's a little bit of skill. People who play it will fucking get angry now. They're in the comment section because people who play backgammon love backgammon. They think that the tactics are be all and end all, but they're not. There's a lot of luck. The guy, if one of you rolls all double sixes and the other one rolls 1 and 2 every roll, the dude who rolls the double sixes is going to win every single time. So there is a heavy amount of luck involved in. What you got to do is you got to move your pieces from that side of the board all the way around to this finish thing, and you got to get all your pieces. But if they're by themselves, they can be jumped on and sent back to the beginning.
It's kind of checkers-ish,
a little bit Chinese checkers-ish. Yeah,
nice little games those. Do the South Africans play a version of that? I don't know. I know about the which leads into my fact. It happens to be sort of Diketo-ish. Diketo is it mimics the cattle thing, and it's a stone game. So you throw the stone and then you move the cattle in and out. It's usually played by ladies,
like jumping jacks,
cattle
maybe.
herding. No, but they move the stones around. So it's played by ladies sitting on their side of their thing, and they play it in the dirt. And they make a circle for the kraal, and then there's stones in there. And
it does sound like jumping jack. Yeah, that's like jumping jack. Where you bounce the ball and you've got to.
Is that jumping jack?
Yeah, you got to clear the jacks or something.
Oh, I had no idea.
It's a game that's much more popular in America than here. But there's you bounce the ball and then you've got to do something with the pieces and then.
Oh right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're telling me the truth or not. I wonder. A game that originates there by local South Africans. Shucks. I'm sure I would have heard about it because I was in the TV game show world. No, I'm going to say no. There isn't. No, not in South Africa. No. No.
Tragically, you're incorrect.
My gosh, I'm taking a shock of this.
So the game's called Murabaraba.
I've heard of Murabaraba.
No, it's got a bunch of names depending on where in South Africa you play it. Mlabalaba and less commonly Mela. And anthropologists believe that that it comes and it originates with an ancient Egyptian game called Mancala. And I don't know if you know Mancala.
Well, I thought Mancala was more a category of game that involved stones and seeds.
So it is initially, but so there are different versions of Mancala. It's an ancient game that's evolved in many different ways depending on which direction in the globe it headed.
Wow.
Very similarly, by the way, to Murabaraba. But Mancala, essentially at its very basic, is two sets of holes of equal length, and you've got to move your seeds around the holes. Much like backgammon. So very similar to backgammon.
Yes.
But now, at Mapungubwe, anthropologists, archaeologists have found holes drilled in the rocks, carved in the rocks more than 800 years ago.
Where's which province is that in?
Oh, Limpopo, I think.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow, man.
But now so now it's got these rocks. You can play this very basic Mancala with it.
Yes.
But critically, you can also play Murabaraba with the holes that are drilled there. So this is why they're saying it actually very likely could be a Murabaraba. But what Murabaraba is it's a grid.
Yeah.
It's a square grid with a square in the middle that gets connected by diagonal lines from corner to corner and straight lines. And a lot of Europeans might recognize it as a 9-man's Morris or 11-man's Morris board.
Wow.
Because, in fact, it's derived from this Mancala, and depending on the direction around the world it spread, it became a kind of standardized board with different types of rules, playing with different kinds of pieces and whatever. And the way that Murabaraba is played is essentially this grid starts out empty, and each person's got 12 cows, which is an interesting kind of aside on your game. You've got 12 cows, and you take it in turns to place your cows on the intersections between the different lines.
Okay.
And the idea is to try and get 3 of your cows to line up.
Wow.
Because if 3 of your cows, like in tic-tac-toe.
Yes.
Yeah, ching-chong. What was it?
Noughts and crosses.
Noughts and crosses,
yeah.
So if you get 3 of them to line up in a row, you get to shoot one of your opponent's cows. His piece comes off the board, never to come back, right? So you do the setup. So not many cows get shot in the opening generally because you can place the pieces much like noughts and crosses. You can place your pieces to block theirs. Then the second phase of the game is you're allowed to move your pieces from one intersection to a connecting intersection, and you keep doing this until you make your line. And a line is called a mill. So you've got these 3 pieces. Once you make, then you shoot a cow. And the idea is that you shoot cows back and forth until one of you has only 3 pieces left. The person who's got 3 pieces left no longer has to move them to connecting intersections. They get to fly them wherever they like on the board and move them around like that. And a person wins when their opponent has only 2 pieces left, 2 cows left, because then they can't mill anymore. And it's obviously going to be game over.
Wow, so that's very sophisticated.
It is. It's a hellishly sophisticated game, and the thing about it is that there is no luck involved. There's no dice.
Wow.
It's all about how you place your pieces, how you move your pieces. It's all about, everybody's got the same board, they've got the same everything else. Much like chess, there's no luck element involved in it. There are different versions, even just within South Africa. So there's the Sesotho version. Apparently has an additional intersection in the center of the board, which completely prevents draws from happening. And then, as I said, there's European versions, different 9-man's Morris, 11-man's Morris. It uses the same board, but by having these different numbers, it prevents a draw. So by having the 9 and the 11, it stops draws from happening. And initially, when people found that South Africans were playing Murabaraba, people were saying, well, obviously this is 9-man's Morris, and the British brought it over when they came over. But the subsequent discovery at Mapungubwe and the fact that this game is in fact different versions of this game are played throughout Africa and indeed throughout Middle East and through India, and it actually suggests it came here much long ago, in a far more intricate kind of evolutionary pattern. And I reckon if somebody would actually study it, they'd probably be able to track the different versions evolving as they move across the continent. But there you go. And initially believe that it comes from ancient Egypt because the Romans loved it and they're the ones that introduced it to Europe.
So I love that fact, and we're more connected than we realize, And also a recent podcast I listened to was about the Zimbabwean ruins, which should be more well known than they are. They really are a fascinating thing. But of course, it absolutely demonstrated the sophisticated civilization that was happening in sub-Saharan Africa centuries ago, and splendid little place that they built. And of course, the colonial retelling of it was, this is quite sophisticated. It must have been done by Europeans at some point, maybe the Portuguese or something. Like, no. It was African made, man. African made. And African back then, they had their own trade routes. They traded with the Arabs, they traded with other societies, and they built civilizations and did their thing, man. And for some reason, famine or whatever did kind of have a bit of a collapse. But hey, it was African made. And this game,
the thing about Murabaraba, you can firstly you can play it literally. You can scratch the board into the ground or draw a board yourself.
That's fantastic.
There is a national championship every single year.
Fantastic.
So there is a national champion of Murabaraba, and to my great shame, I don't know who it is.
Cool.
But we used to play it at university. We used to have because the National Wargaming Association used to come and give away boards and then it was a nice pastime.
I never ever got into that, but Oaks were insane about that thing. Actual pieces and different.
Oh yeah.
Were you into that?
No. But it's those same guys run Murabaraba in South Africa. So that actual wargaming thing, they run it.
Well, this is great, and it's brought us to multiple choice time, and you won't believe it, but my question is about an old board game, also very much definitely originating in Africa. In fact, they think it's West Africa, Ghanaian, sort of the Ashanti. I understood it to be part of that Mansilla game. It's a seed game. It's called Wari Wari.
Mansilla, am I pronouncing it wrong? I was saying Mancala. It could be Mansala.
Yeah. And so this is the seed version, and I love this game very much. When the old Nokia phones came out, they actually had it on the phone. It's called
that's right.
Wari, and it's there's little troughs of seeds, and you start off with about 4, maybe 3 troughs, and then there's the point scoring little pot. And so the idea is whoever goes first, you pick up the seeds in a pot and you let them go one at a time, moving in an anti-clockwise way. And then as you pass your scoring pot, you drop a seed in there. Now, if your final seed from your handful of seeds lands in the scoring pot, you get to go again.
And basically, Heroes Quest 3.
Oh,
you have to play this against somebody and win, in order to progress. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I've seen that in some of the games that these lighties play.
And Heroes Quest 3 was when we were lighties, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now, these days, I saw a fantastic version of. There's a game called Red
Redemption.
Yes, and then you play that game against
the knife game.
Yeah. So and basically, whoever's got one more than half all the seeds in their scoring pot. So it's usually like if it's 24. So as soon as you get like 25 seeds in your scoring pot, game over. Then you've won. And love that game. And it's called Wadi. It's originated in amongst the Ashanti Empire in Ghana, and it has spread to Central Africa. There's a version in East Africa, and of course, it popped up very popularly in the Caribbean.
So that's the game I'm calling Mancala, which is the one that they believe is
many names.
Yeah, but this is the one that they believe originated in Egypt and led to I suppose all these games across Africa in the end.
Maybe.
So maybe this particular version.
Did they play with was your Marabaraba with like originally seeds?
Yeah, but you can play with anything. You can play with stones. You can just as long as you can
stones.
scratch the grid and the thing, you can play with whatever you like. But no. It's a very different game to to that. The one you're describing is the one with the two troughs
Yes.
that I was talking about, where they move around the board.
Yes.
You take them and you distribute them
Yes,
out,
yes,
and
yes,
then you
that's
get all
right.
those ones and you put
Yes,
them in your thing.
that's right.
And then
you see, picking up handfuls of seeds, dropping,
That's right.
dropping, next one, pick up,
That's
drop.
right.
Very
But yeah,
cool.
that's the mancala I was talking about from Egypt.
Okay.
So
well, do you reckon your facts say
look, the thing is
Egyptian origin?
The thing is they don't really know.
Nah.
So they know that this thing is throughout Africa.
Yeah.
You know, particularly North and West Africa. But they assume it's an ancient Egyptian thing because there is indication that it was played in Egypt at the time.
Yeah. And
so
in the Caribbean
there are in fact very fancy,
a clear link to the Caribbean because of the diaspora.
Yeah, but they're very fancy boards that were found with in ancient Egyptian tombs.
Wow.
Where they were made out of ivory, and the holes were carved in them. So whether they were played exactly the same, we don't know. We don't know what the rules were specifically of that version, but we know that, hey, this wari wari in the Ashanti Kingdom,
yes,
the board is identical to the ones that we're finding in tombs in ancient Egypt. So the truth is, these games they're old. They're old games, and they've evolved, sometimes more, sometimes less, sometimes into entirely new games. But I mean, I think it's very difficult with the sources that we've got to track exactly where these things come from. But as I say, the belief is they come from ancient Egypt because they found boards literally in the tombs.
Well, my multiple choice fact is about what wari means. And here are your 4 options. It's either they sew, they kiss, they marry, they argue.
They sew is such a descriptive name. It's got to be
marry,
they sew.
They argue.
It's got to be so, right? Because you spread the things like that, right? Yeah. It's got to be.
It's so cute, this answer. It's they marry. Because the belief is if a husband and wife play wari, they will stay together forever. That's very nice.
That is lovely. That is lovely. I like it. And bizarrely, so your last fact was about the Colosseum.
Yes.
And my last fact was about board games in Africa.
Yes.
And then your multiple choice was about board games in Africa. And my multiple choice is about the Colosseum. So here we go. Everyone knows about the retiaris, which are the trident and net fighting guys, and the secutor, which were the sword guys, which are 2 different kinds of gladiator, right? Which of these ones is not a kind of gladiator? So the rest of them, 3 of these is a kind of gladiator.
Okay.
One of them is not.
Okay.
Bestiarius, Meretrix, Dimacarus, Samnite.
I mean, I know about Bestiaros. In fact, that was probably the Venetio, the dude that fought the animals. Di Macaro sounds like he plays for Manchester City.
He's a defender. Big centre back. He does home a goal for Greece every now and then.
And then the other 2 were?
So Meretrix and Samnite.
Oh, man. Meretrix just sounds like one of Obelix's friends. He probably made that up. Di Macare. Samnite. I'm going to say the one you're making up is either Meretrix or Dimacario.
Dimacarus. Yeah, it's Greek.
Meretrix.
Yeah, obviously.
Meretrix.
So I mean, let me give you some background that might help you. You know that quite often what they used to do with their gladiators was they would name the gladiators after a nation that they were fighting. So they would arm that gladiator like the enemies themselves would be armed.
Yes.
So you would sometimes get these words.
A reenacted battle.
As you say, like Obelix or whatever. So you would sometimes get a word that came from Gaul or Dimacarus, which came from Greece. So you would sometimes get these words that were from other, because they were guys that they were then armoring like their enemy. Yeah.
Love that. And then so that other word with an S was?
Samnite.
Samnite. Which one is he making up? He's making up one of them. He's gonna be so proud of the fact that he made it up, but he screwed me and he tricked me. Samnite. Okay, I'm gonna say I'm going to say made up Demakarios. Demakarios is not a gladiator.
All right. I'll tell you, Samnite is a gladiator armed with a long rectangular shield called a scutum. He'd often have a plumed helmet, a short sword, and a greave on his left leg.
This looks a serious
one. So then he would have a lot of defense on his left-hand side and a sword. It was frequently said that the Samnites were the lucky ones since they got the large shields and the good swords.
Okay.
Demakarios, I'm afraid to tell you, it does come from the Greek meaning bearing two knives. He used a sword in each hand.
Jeez.
And you're right, the bestiarius is the one that used to fight animals. The one I made up is meretrix. I didn't make it up. Meretrix means a free woman who chooses to sell sex and is in fact a higher class registered prostitute.
In Roman times.
Yeah, in Roman times. A scortum, from the words for hides or leather, is an impoverished low-class streetwalker, and an amica is a purely euphemistic phrase for lady friend, but they were all used for prostitutes. So meretrix is just a prostitute. It's not a gladiator at all.
Not a gladiator.
Not a gladiator.
In a way, she's a bit of a gladiator.
She
has to put up with a lot of.
Yeah.
Wow,
she also
man.
gets repeatedly probed.
Right?
Awkward. I can't believe we said that. Anyway, good. So there you are.
Since we said repeatedly probed, that brings us to the end of tonight's
episode. It's time for us to go and get repeatedly probed. No, wait, that's not what I meant. The other way around.
That was a fun topic. That was a crazy topic. Yeah, I loved it.
Any minute now. So we're nearing now, like the end of our first year is within a few episodes, and things because of the way this has been working out on the podcast, the Spotify, and on Apple, and on all of these things, and because of you lovely people watching us on YouTube as well, things are going to get more professional around here. It's going to get nicer around here in a month or two.
I'll still have a job then.
Yeah, no, because you guys have been watching and sharing so kindly. We really appreciate it. Rest assured that those of you who are subscribed to us now, or who are subscribed to us on the 1 year mark, will be getting recognized for your early buy-in. Thank you very much. If you could carry on sharing it, putting your comments and things on here, we appreciate it immensely.
Yeah, a year of what's the fact fun, hey?
Nearly, a couple months. Yeah,
it's lovely,
like
man.
a month left or so.
Yeah, thank you, folks.
Yeah, thank you very much, and we'll see you at the next one.
Yes.
Do we know what the next one is called yet?
Crazy episode, isn't it? Something about. It's something about. Oh no, it's about guys who died too early.
It's death. It's a death one. We'll catch you for the death one.
Death one. You love a bit of that.
Yeah.
Good
Cheers, guys. Bye bye.
Good afternoon. Good morning.
Bye bye.
Bye.